A historic announcement. What if one royal announcement could change the future of the monarchy? Prince Edward's new role as Duke of Edinburgh is more than just a title. It's a defining moment. With King Charles reshaping the royal family, Edward now carries his father's legacy while navigating a changing institution. Will his children, Lady Louise Windsor and James, Earl of Wessex, take on public roles? Is the monarchy ready for fewer working royals? And what does this shift mean for its future? Let's dive in. Prince Edward steps into the spotlight. Prince Edward has never sought the limelight. Known for his quiet dedication, loyalty to the crown, and commitment to various causes, he largely avoided the controversies that often surrounded his siblings. Yet, on this day, all eyes were on him. A rare mid-morning announcement from Buckingham Palace stunned the public. King Charles had granted him the title of Duke of Edinburgh, fulfilling their late father Prince Philip's long-standing wish. This was no ordinary royal appointment. Prince Philip had held the title for over 7 decades, making it one of the longest-held peerages in British history. A legacy to uphold. The news sent ripples through media, political circles, and royal watchers worldwide. Some had expected this years ago, while others speculated on its impact on the monarchy's future. One thing was clear. This was a turning point for Prince Edward. More than just an honorary distinction, the title carried immense responsibility. Central to this was the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, one of the world's most influential youth development programs. Prince Philip had dedicated his life to expanding it across 100-plus countries, and Edward had long worked behind the scenes to support it. Now, as the new Duke, he was responsible for ensuring its continued success. Mixed reactions and royal expectations. The announcement was met with admiration and curiosity. Supporters saw it as a well-earned recognition of Edward's years of service. Others questioned if the role should have gone to a younger, more visible royal. With King Charles advocating a slimmed-down monarchy, many wondered how Edward's appointment fit into this vision. Despite the speculation, Edward remained characteristically reserved. He expressed gratitude but emphasized that this was about continuing his father's legacy, not gaining status. He had witnessed firsthand how Prince Philip tirelessly championed the award, and now it was his turn to carry the torch. A team effort. His wife, Sophie, now Duchess of Edinburgh, was equally committed. Over the years, she had steadily taken on more royal engagements, earning respect for her dedication to charitable causes. The couple's first public appearance after the announcement was met with warm applause, a testament to their growing influence. The future of the monarchy. Beyond the excitement, this moment signaled a broader shift within the royal family. As King Charles reshapes the monarchy, the question remains, how will Edward's role evolve, and what does this mean for the next generation? One thing is certain, Prince Edward has stepped into a position of great significance. The legacy of the Duke of Edinburgh is now in his hands, and the world will be watching to see how he carries it forward. A modernized monarchy. King Charles has long envisioned a streamlined, modernized royal family. Passing the Duke of Edinburgh title to Prince Edward reinforced this approach. While other European monarchies have reduced the number of working royals, the British royal family has maintained a complex structure. This appointment was a balancing act, acknowledging Edward's contributions while keeping a selective approach to royal titles. The decision also raised questions about the younger generation. Prince William, as heir to the throne, had reportedly been involved in discussions on redefining royal responsibilities. Speculation grew about whether Edward's children, Lady Louise Windsor and James, Earl of Wessex, might take on more visible roles. Though neither currently holds an HRH title, their father's new status could open doors for their future within the monarchy. A title with weight. For now, the focus remained on Prince Edward and the significance of this moment. Stepping into his father's shoes wasn't just about gaining a title. It was about embracing a duty. The Duke of Edinburgh had always been a figure of strength and resilience, and those qualities would now be expected of him. As Edward and Sophie took on their new roles, the road ahead was both familiar and uncharted. There were expectations to meet, work to be done, and above all, a legacy to uphold. Supporters celebrated Edward's decades of quiet service, while critics debated the monarchy's future. One thing was certain, Edward had entered a defining chapter in his life, carrying on a legacy. While the announcement had settled in, its implications were still unfolding. Edward's new title linked him directly to one of the most influential royal legacies of the 20th century. Prince Philip had shaped the Duke of Edinburgh role with an iron will, ensuring his impact lasted long after his passing. Now, Edward had to honor that legacy while adapting to the modern monarchy's evolving expectations. There was little time for reflection. His first engagements as Duke of Edinburgh began almost immediately. Attending events related to the Duke of Edinburgh's award had always been part of his duties, but now, as the program's patron, his presence carried new weight. No longer just a supporter, he was its official figurehead. Shaping the future, Prince Philip founded the award in 1956 to help young people develop essential life skills through physical challenges, community service, and personal growth. Over decades, it expanded globally, with millions of participants across 100-plus countries. Edward, who had earned his own gold award in his youth, had long championed the program. Now, he was responsible for ensuring its future. The challenges faced by today's youth, ranging from mental health struggles to shifting career landscapes, are far different from those of the mid-20th century. Edward knew the award had to evolve to remain relevant. A vision for the next generation. In his first public speech as Duke of Edinburgh, Edward addressed an audience of young participants and supporters. He honored the past but focused on the future, emphasizing adaptability, resilience, and self-improvement, the values at the heart of the award. He also stressed that the world was changing and the program must change with it. His words were met with warm applause, a sign that people recognized his commitment to keeping his father's vision alive while preparing it for a new generation. A strong partnership. Sophie, the new Duchess of Edinburgh, stood beside Edward as she had for more than 2 decades. Together, they had quietly built a reputation as one of the royal family's most hard-working and dedicated couples. Unlike other high-profile royals, they had avoided personal scandals and remained focused on service. Sophie had long championed causes related to eye health, women's rights, and support for survivors of sexual violence. Now, as Duchess of Edinburgh, her role carried even greater significance. Their dynamic was one of partnership rather than hierarchy, a quality that endeared them to many. Sophie's hands-on approach, speaking candidly with people rather than maintaining formal distance, made her one of the most relatable members of the royal family. In the days following Edward's appointment, she joined him at several events, reinforcing that their new titles were not just symbolic, but a renewed commitment to service. A monarchy in transition. Beyond their personal approach to royal duties, Edward's appointment reflected a broader shift within the monarchy. King Charles had long envisioned a streamlined royal family. Fewer working royals, but a continued commitment to public service. Edward's new role signified continuity, bridging past traditions with the monarchy's evolving present. This transition also reignited speculation about the future roles of Edward and Sophie's children, Lady Louise Windsor and James, Earl of Wessex. Neither currently holds an HRH title, a decision made by their parents to ensure a private upbringing. However, with Edward's elevated status, questions arose about whether this approach would change. Prince William, reportedly involved in shaping the monarchy's future, favored a smaller core of active royals. Yet, with King Charles prioritizing continuity, there was room for adaptation. If Lady Louise and James chose to embrace public roles, it would have to be on their terms rather than by expectation. Honoring a legacy, Edward's transition into the role of Duke of Edinburgh had begun, but much remained to be defined. His work with the Duke of Edinburgh's award and various charities carried new weight. His father's legacy was now his responsibility, not just to preserve, but to evolve for future generations. The Duke of Edinburgh's award, founded by Prince Philip in 1956, had helped millions of young people develop life skills. As its new figurehead, Edward knew the program had to stay relevant in a rapidly changing world. Visiting youth centers and speaking with award participants, he listened to their stories. Some gained confidence through outdoor challenges, while others discovered career paths through volunteer work. Ensuring the initiative remained accessible to diverse participants became a priority. Sophie's growing influence. Alongside Edward, Sophie's role took on a new dimension. Already known for her advocacy work, her title as Duchess of Edinburgh elevated her platform. She now served as patron of over 70 organizations, working across the UK and internationally. Their packed schedules included public appearances, diplomatic meetings, and charity work, solidifying their status as key figures in the monarchy. A changing royal landscape. Despite their dedication, discussions about the monarchy's future persisted. With Prince Harry and Meghan stepping away and Prince Andrew removed from public duties, the number of senior working royals had significantly shrunk. The core now consisted of King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince William, Princess Catherine, and Edward and Sophie. This shift raised concerns about sustainability. King Charles had long favored a streamlined institution, but with fewer working royals, the remaining members carried an increased workload. In recent years, William and Catherine had shouldered much of the public schedule while balancing family life. Now, Edward and Sophie were stepping up to fill some of the gaps. Whether this was a temporary adjustment or a long-term shift remained unclear. The next generation. Speculation also grew over the roles of Lady Louise and James. Louise, largely focused on her studies, was approaching a point where she could decide whether to embrace royal duties. James, now the Earl of Wessex, had inherited his father's previous title but had not been given an HRH status at birth. Reports suggested that Prince William had considered whether to encourage greater involvement from the younger generation. The monarchy stood at a crossroads, balancing modernization with the expectation of royal visibility. While some believed Louise and James should have the option to take on duties, others argued for a minimalist approach, reserving responsibilities for only the most senior royals. For now, Edward and Sophie remained focused on their work, carrying their new titles with purpose. Their journey ahead was filled with challenges, but also opportunities to redefine what it meant to serve in a modern monarchy. A steady focus on service. As Edward embraced his new role, he avoided speculation about the future structure of the royal family. His focus remained on his commitments, particularly upholding his father's legacy. One of the most significant moments early in his tenure as Duke of Edinburgh came when he attended a major event celebrating the impact of the Duke of Edinburgh's award. Addressing a crowd of young achievers, he spoke passionately about the program's importance and his vision for its expansion. His speech earned a standing ovation, a testament to the respect he had built over decades of service. This moment reinforced that despite the evolving monarchy, there was still deep public appreciation for continuity and dedication. Edward had never sought the spotlight, but now that it had found him, he was determined to use it to champion causes he deeply believed in, defining his role in the modern monarchy. With each engagement, Edward's presence as Duke of Edinburgh became more defined. No longer just a working royal fulfilling duties, he was now embedded in the monarchy's long-term vision. His transition had been smooth, but the weight of responsibility continued to grow. While the public largely welcomed his new position, broader shifts within the royal family remained a topic of debate. Edward's work with the Duke of Edinburgh's award remained a priority, but his commitments extended far beyond. His patronage spanned education, youth development, conservation, and the arts, causes he had supported for years but now carried renewed significance. His father had always believed that service was the foundation of the royal family's purpose, and Edward fully embraced that belief. However, with fewer working royals, the demands on him and others within the core group had increased. A growing international presence. Alongside Sophie, Edward took on an increasing number of engagements both at home and abroad. Their international visits became particularly significant, reflecting the royal family's ongoing diplomatic role. In recent months, Edward had traveled to several Commonwealth nations, reinforcing relationships central to the monarchy's identity. His visits focused on youth initiatives, education, and military support, areas where he had built extensive experience. During a visit to Estonia, he met with military personnel and government officials to discuss ongoing partnerships between the UK and its allies. His presence underscored his growing role in global representation, something increasingly necessary amid shifting international relations. While King Charles and Prince William carried out high-level diplomacy, Edward's expanding role signaled an effort to distribute responsibilities across a more limited number of working royals. A measured approach. Despite his increased public presence, Edward remained one of the more understated royals. He had never been one for grand gestures or public spectacles, preferring a measured, hands-on approach. This had worked in his favor, allowing him to build strong relationships with organizations and communities without the distractions of royal fame. His dedication was particularly valued among those involved in his father's legacy projects. Sophie's expanding role. Sophie's responsibilities also grew. Her advocacy for survivors of gender-based violence gained greater visibility, with her visits to international aid organizations drawing further attention to the issue. As Duchess of Edinburgh, she remained committed to hands-on involvement, meeting with survivors, policymakers, and healthcare professionals to discuss long-term solutions. Like Edward, she saw her title as an opportunity to drive meaningful impact. The future of the monarchy. Meanwhile, discussions about the monarchy's future continued. King Charles remained committed to a streamlined royal family, but questions persisted about how responsibilities would be distributed. The absence of Prince Harry and Meghan had left noticeable gaps, and Prince Andrew's continued withdrawal from public duties further highlighted the reduced number of senior working royals. With Edward and Sophie stepping up, their roles had taken on greater significance. The monarchy was adapting, but how it would balance tradition with modern expectations remained an ongoing conversation. The monarchy had always been defined by continuity. As one generation stepped into leadership, the next was expected to prepare for their future roles. King Charles's approach to royal engagements reflected a careful balance between maintaining tradition and adapting to societal expectations. He had reduced the number of working royals, but figures like Edward and Sophie had proven essential in keeping the monarchy connected to the public. A legacy of dedication. Edward had embraced his responsibilities with quiet determination. Unlike some of his relatives, he had never sought attention or political influence. His focus had always been on service, and that commitment remained unwavering. His father had set a precedent for what it meant to be Duke of Edinburgh, and Edward honored that legacy through his actions rather than words. As the monarchy moved forward, the significance of Edward's role became even clearer. His steady presence provided continuity at a time of internal restructuring and external pressures. His contributions, though sometimes understated, reinforced the idea that the monarchy was built on service rather than spectacle. While the future of the royal family continued to evolve, Edward's appointment reaffirmed the importance of dedication, stability, and responsibility in upholding its legacy.